Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you receive this information. This is yours truly, Marvin Crazy Crawford of Straight Jacket Communications, also author of How to Find Success by Losing Your Mind. I'm a little hyped, I'm a little excited because I'm keeping according to my not New Year's resolution, but New Life's realization. There's something that said many years ago, Dr. A.R. Bernard of New York's Christian Cultural Center said that revelation is never revelation until it's revealed to you. And so many of us have had the same revelation over and over again. You know, I got it. The epiphany, the moment of aha. This time I'm going to do it. Oh my God, this is it. I'm ready to change the whole thing around. I'm getting rid of this and I'm picking up that. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat better or whatever your list of things were. Only to sooner or later realize that you are exactly where you began. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about self-doubt, but I want to talk to you a little bit about this because it's important for us to understand. Notice that I didn't say understand, I said understand, because understanding is a different thing altogether. See, in my case, and I'm just trying to keep it real, everything that I've claimed to understand, I somehow put on the back burner of my life, of my existence, of my expression as if it were not of major importance, as if I wasn't going to eat that meal today or this month. No, but I somehow pushed it back because somewhere in my head I understood this, or I thought that I got that, or maybe I was watching Oprah and she said something profound, or there was some lecturer or some sort of guru who might have shared some sort of insight on something. And I said, man, I got it this time. I'm about to do something with it. And again, pushing it way back to the end, to the other side or to the back burner of life. And then really never picking it up again. If truth be told, not only did it get cold, it spoiled back there. It rotted and it was no good to use again. So I really should have cooked something new. And I'm just talking about the expression of who you are. Here's what I want to say to you. Um, I want you to think about something that really would change your life. I'm talking about change it. I'm not talking about adjust it. I'm not talking about tweak it. I'm not talking about tuning it. And for sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to do those small steps. In fact, it's all a series of small steps. However, in our minds, we have got to recognize and we've got to understand that it's possible. Somewhere in the Bible it says, being surrounded by, I think it's in the book of Hebrews, being surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. And one of the reasons I love that scripture is because there are things that you and I might want to do that is very possible for us to do it, but very often we need to surround ourselves by the great cloud of witnesses. In other words, we need some proof. We need some confirmation. We need some folks who are like-minded, like-spirited, like-focused in that area, in that arena, in that specific category, so that we can have the wherewithal when we begin to run out of the wherewithal, begin to get that strength that we need, that we can only get from other people. Sometimes it's in the library, as I give many of my talks, and it's on the shoulders of our ancestors long gone, but they are still very present because of their written word. Or very often we don't take advantage of the living ancestors that we have, that all we have to do is go to a seminar or perhaps speak to someone at your local library. I love to talk to people in my library. I'm sure I get on their last nerve, but I love doing it because they have such an ample amount of information that really, if you really paid attention, and remember, Dr. Bernard used to say, attention is like money. It has to be paid. If you don't pay attention, you will pay someone. And very often we pay the cost of regret, or the cost of just pain, or the cost of uh, not having enough information. That's all major causes because we did not pay attention. But I want to get back real quick because I jump around, I get excited. I want to jump back to understanding. There was a story, and you've heard me tell the story before, and I'm trying to get my talks more organized so that when you listen to one, you won't necessarily hear what you heard in the other one. But work with me, please. All right. But there was a bully many years ago, and some of you are familiar with this. And this bully, this bully hit this little boy. And to his surprise, the little boy hit him right back. And the bully was surprised, and he hit the boy again. You know, like, what you gonna do now, little man? And the little boy just hit him right back. So he pushed the boy down and pushed him. It was so easy to knock him down, but it said that like the boy had springs on his behind, he jumped right back up and went to go push the bully. Of course, making no impression at all. So the bully pushed him down again. The boy got up even faster. So the bully knocked him down and sat on top of him. And all of a sudden, it said that this little boy was heard to start laughing. He just started laughing like, so this irritated the bully, you know. And he said, what are you laughing at? And he said this, I'm standing up inside of myself. You get it? Inner standing. I'm standing up inside of myself. And there's another scripture that also said, having done all to stand, stand therefore. It's the standing on the inside that really brings out the expression of a dream, a dance, an expression, a sermon on the outside. It is something that is so resonant inside of you. It is so bubbling. It is so alive on the inside of you. You don't need everybody to agree with you, because you understand, or you understand, the fact that, number one, it ought to be you. It ought to be your purpose. It ought to be your mission. It ought to be your obsession. As they used to say many years ago, the great or the white hot obsession. It ought to be something that you can eat or breathe. They say that a career should be doing something that you love doing so much that you would do it for nothing. But the fact that you do it so well, the fact that you go over and above, the fact that you give your all in all, the fact that you make people connect with that which is given to you, well, the world insists on writing you a check. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of life that I need to live. And so is it with you. You need to express this thing. You know, it's been said that the richest place on the face of the earth, and I know you've heard this before, has nothing to do with banks, has nothing to do with stock markets. It has nothing to do with the gold mines of the African continents. No, but it's the cemetery, because within the ground of the cemetery are the very dreams that you were meant to express, the very books that you were meant to write, the very dances you were meant to perform, the sermons and the lectures that you were created to express into this universe. And yet, for the most part, we die with those dreams inside of us. I think it was Oliver Wendell Holmes who said, the mass of men walk in quiet desperation. If we walk because we don't think that we are able to pull it off. I heard it said it's not that we aim too high and we miss, but we aim too low and we hit. And then I heard someone say the other day, some of us aim too low and we miss that too, which is sad. But ladies and gentlemen, that's why I said in How to Find Success by Losing Your Mind, you got to be crazy. You got to be crazy. Let me give you the definition of crazy. If you look it up, you'll find it, or some variation of it. It means to be distracted with enthusiasm or excitement. To be crazy doesn't have to be a negative thing, but what it can do is to keep your mind off of the obstacles or off of the reasons that would keep you from doing the thing that you were designed to do. You see, if you were designed to do it, of course, you have the wherewithal in order to get it done. But when you go inside that mind, that often polluted mind, and we'll talk about self-doubt in a way, when you go in for that mind, then you have all kinds of reasons that you can't pull it off. You don't have enough money. You don't have the information. You didn't graduate Harvard. You didn't go to medical school. You didn't do this. You didn't go to dance school. You didn't, you know, and our mind is genius, because it keeps coming up with, you know, if you settle that problem, something else comes up. But what about this? Well, you know your father was a drug addict. Well, you know your father was a pastor. You know your mother had a problem, mental issues, whatever the case is. The litany of excuses, the litany of almost evil just keeps coming. You know, my mentor, Les Brown, He said this. He said the easiest thing he'd ever done, and I know you've heard this too, the easiest thing he'd ever done was to create $1 million, to start a multi-million-dollar corporation. That's one of the easiest things he ever did. But he said the hardest thing that he ever did was to believe that he could do it. Ladies and gentlemen, and you don't get anything else, I want you to get this. Our main enemy today in this talk is self-doubt. It is self-doubt, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you because I need you to understand it. When it comes to your mind that you get it, I want you to go in deeper and really get it. This way, when the obstacles come your way, you can push them to the side like the bully pushed that boy, but push it clear to the side. And no, this is for me. This is something I've got to understand. When the doubts start coming your way, you say, no, this is mine. I know this is mine. Maybe I don't have all of the T's crossed and all of the I's dotted, but it's mine. It's just a matter of time before I cross the finish line of fruition, but it is mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to tell you that, and I want you to get this because this is a nugget in and of itself concerning self-doubt. Self-doubt, I heard it expressed, and I don't know, forgive me for not knowing who the author of this saying is, and I will find it for you, unless it's anonymous, of course. It doesn't come to mind right now. But it said this concerning self-doubt. Self-doubt is like joining the ranks of your enemy or enlisting with your enemy and then bearing arms against yourself. Did you get that? It's like joining the ranks of your enemy, the one that's plotting your destruction. You go and get rid of your uniform, get rid of your dream, get rid of your mantra, whatever your mission is, and you go across the street and you sign up with someone whose main goal is to plant your demise, is to end your goal, your life, your instructions, your inspiration, just wipe you right out. And you go over there and say, give me what kind of gun we using for that idiot over there? He's all steeped in self-doubt. What kind of gun do we have? Are we having a big old bazooka? Okay, fine. And you take this device, this weaponry that's being used or designed to be used for your destruction against God's plan for your life, if you will, and aim it, and you know where to hit you at, and pull in the trigger for your dreams never to be seen again, never to be expressed into this universe, not anytime soon, not until someone else comes along and perhaps is given to them. So, what can we do about self-doubt? Well, it's amazing how we got here anyway. One of the things that I know that we fail to do is to understand success. In our nation, we very often, if you ask someone who's successful, or if you ask a younger person particularly, sometimes even someone my age, I'm just 59, January 19th. Yeah, all right, you didn't have to celebrate. I'm celebrating. You ask what success is, and very often what's told to you is something having to do with material wealth. You know, he got 3 cars, or he has his own business, or she has her own boutique, or maybe she owns several, you know, she's a lawyer, or whatever the case is. And we equate it with some sort of affluence or some sort of accumulation of wealth or money or whatever. But let's go to Webster's dictionary. Now, I didn't bring it with me, and I don't know it verbatim, but I know when I looked it up, what it basically said was to obtain something that you've gone after. That's really what it means. To get something that you've gone after. Now, I'm going to show you how the self-doubt kind of messes that up, because if the case is that success is aiming what we've gone after, then the majority of us should be so hyped up with success and so filled with self-confidence and so overwhelmingly bold in terms of our moves and our decisions that we go on to conquer new grounds. to go onward, upward, goodward in God. We ought to be able to do that, but we don't do that. Why? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, think about this. You wake up in the morning, which is of no doing of your own. So you should wake up with a grateful mind. I mean, Lord, you woke me up today. Thank you. At least. If you don't give me nothing else, thank you. You know, you don't have gas in your car, whatever. Thank you for this. We have to be grateful for this. The ability to show up, the ability to be here, the gift of another day, the gift of being able to go out and touch another life and to help somebody that's less fortunate than you. And you're sitting around thinking that nobody's less fortunate than you, then you could not be less fortunate than that. but not only that, in terms of the fact that you have been blessed with a new day. But I want you to think about this. I want you to think about everything that you're going to do for the rest of this day, or anything that you did last week, or anything that you did last month. In fact, all year long last year, you did what you wanted to do. You went where you wanted to go. Now, your mind will tell you, no, I didn't go to Hollywood. I meant to go to, but you may think of the more extravagant places that you want to go, or really want to do. But those are those other things. But for the most part, we have to look at it. We get up, we go to the bathroom. And I know you're thinking that, that doesn't mean anything. Of course it does, because it happened as a result of a decision. You ever had to go to the bathroom and you didn't go? So you didn't go. You was watching TV or something, or you was having a conversation with somebody on the phone. You just didn't go. After a while, you got to go because you're not yourself. And if you get around people else, what's the matter with you? Why are you moving like that? Man, I got to go. I just go, well, why don't you go already? And maybe you can't get to the room or the bathroom, whatever the case is. But sooner or later, it does not leave your mind. You're like, oh, I got to do something. And that's really what it is with us. We don't mind making those. You know, it's like I said, it's not that we aim too high and we miss, but we aim too low and we hit. And very often we don't aim at all. But here's the sad thing. We don't recognize the power of making the decisions that we make every day. I had to make a decision to come here to do this talk for the library. I had to make a decision that I was going to keep a couple of notes on the side, which I didn't do it. So that wasn't really a decision. So, okay, I lied to myself there. But I had to make the decision that I was going to continue to do these talks until I got it right, until I didn't have to depend on outside notes or whatever. And at some point, you will see me refer over to an outside note or whatever for no other reason than maybe I lost my place. And a lot of you might not see that I lost my place a couple of times in here, but I was able to get it back. And the only time you're going to be able to get it back is to stay on the spot. You got to mess up. You have to be in your sucky stage sometimes. Everybody knows that they want to be good. They want to be great at something. But at some point, you've got to suck. At some point, you've got to not be great. But here's the wonderful thing about that. You don't have to be great to get started. I like this one. You don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to get great. You don't have to be great to get, you don't have to be beautiful to get started, but you have to get started to get beautiful. You know, some of us wake up and we have some real sad faces in the morning time. In fact, I had to do something with the men, black for men for the hair. It was getting gray, you know. But how you start and how you finish is really entirely up to us. And I don't want to spend too much time on this. I've already spent like 18 minutes, but I'm talking about self-doubt. So here's what we're going to do for self-doubt. We're going to, many times, and let me finish this point. This point is that if you were to succeed constantly in any given area, then your self-confidence would improve. Am I right? Okay, I see you nodding your head. Well, it's the same thing with the lives that we live. There was nothing I did today that I didn't do on purpose. There were some things that I wanted to do that I wasn't maybe financially able to do. There were some places that I wanted to go that still had to do with finances that I wasn't able to go. I had to stay local for a moment. But forget them, I did not. They're in my mind, they're in my heart, they're in my spirit. I'm going to do them. I'm going to plan. I'm going to write those things down so that I know I'm executing and not just planning. I'm not making a New Year's resolution where the majority of it is the majority of, I think they said 75% of New Year's resolutions are given up on and abandoned by about the 90th day. So that's like the third month in, right? So I'm not going to do that, but I'm doing a new life's realization. In other words, if it is to be, it's up to me. So the only way that I know I'm going to get these things done that I want to do this year, you see, my year, this year, I need to speak to 100,000 people. And it's in part by social media, but that wasn't my plan. My plan is not through social media. So if it happens through social media, as I'm sure it will help exponentially, but I'm talking about 100,000 pressing flesh, eye to eye group. So I'm looking at New York, I'm looking at Atlanta, I'm looking at Chicago, I'm looking at some of those places in order for me to do that. Have I ever done it before? No, 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 no. Is it scary? Yeah. Yeah, but I got to do it. You understand? Because I've talked about it long enough, but along the time that I've talked about it, what's happened is that it's been adding to me. You know, some people are just dreamers, and they say nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream, and when he wakes up, he loses that too. But some of us are reading, and we're compiling. We're compiling a new attitude or a new perspective or a new inspiration or a new this. Now, it's true. You can sit there and get and receive and receive and receive until it's time for you to go home and be with the Lord. I mean, you can do that. But you no longer want to do that. You want to reach a point where your self-doubt takes a back seat because you understand. You see, there's sometimes when we fail to understand that when our outgo exceeds our income, then our upkeep will be our downfall. Now, that's also by Dr. A.R. Bernard. If you ever want to look for a great speaker, a great preacher, a great instructor, not so much that hooping and hollering, but a great instructor for the human condition and for our spiritual condition and our spirit man, there's none better than Dr. A.R. Bernard. And you may argue that, but I love T.D. Jakes and I love a lot of them. But it's not so much what I hear. It's not that the information or the inspiration, as I said earlier, is not available. It's very often that we don't avail ourselves to it. So if it says that greater is he that's in me than he that's within the world, then that means that when I run up in the face of my situation or in the face of my obstacles, that I'm to keep going because there is something that's in me that is stronger than what I'm looking at. There's something that's in me that I don't see yet that is stronger than what I'm looking at. But if I don't know that, if I don't understand that, I'm going to look at the mass, the size, the volume of what's before me, and I'm going to fold up like so many cards because I'm comparing. But when I realize that I understand something in me is greater than anything that I have ever come into, or any force that I've ever been approached by, when I recognize and I understand, and it takes very often, it takes some prayer. It takes some prayer. It takes some knowledge of God. It takes some concentration, but it also takes some bravery. Now, bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is moving on in spite of the fear. So, we're in our action stage. What is the best thing to overcome self-doubt? Action. Action, baby. Don't nothing get you going like action. Because in action, that's where you're going to get the real critique of life. Where someone's going to say to you, you think you good? You ain't good. That's all a part of the school. When someone says, you know what, I know someone who does that better than you. That's a part of the school. When someone says, you haven't made any money, well, you don't know what you're talking about. If you haven't made any money, that's a part of the school. But you remember that greater is he that's within you than he that's within the world. So it doesn't matter what those circumstances. Sure, they may be indications or variations of truth, but they are not the ultimate truth. See, what they're talking about is facts. And I'll leave you with this. I don't want to overstay my welcome. I try to keep it under 25 minutes. But someone once said, years ago, if you walk around and say, I'm going to ask you to hold out your hands, even though you're on screen. Play with me, please. And hold out your hand. And I'm going to give you apple seeds in your hand, right? So what do you have in your hand? You have apple seeds in your hand. That's the fact. The fact is, that's the fact, Jack. You have apple seeds in your hand. But when you look at the truth, it's a whole different thing. See, there's a difference between the facts and the truth. The facts very often are the thing that you're looking at, the thing that you're caught up in, the confusion. That's just the fact, but that's not the truth, baby, because there's more to the story. And you got to understand that at all times there's more to the story. So I've handed you apple seeds, and you said that you've confirmed, in fact, that I've handed you these apple seeds. This is not my lesson. Believe me, I got it from somewhere else a long time ago. And I think it was Christian Cultural Center. Again, I'm giving them the credit for all my stuff. But again, I'm just a vessel, okay? So I'm giving you these apple seeds, and you say in your hand, you have apple seeds. That's when you don't understand. Because when you understand, you realize, yes, you have apple seeds, but with apples, with trees, with leaves, with seeds, with trees, with leaves, with seeds. So when I've handed you an apple seed, I've in fact handed you a forest. Yes, the fact is that I've handed you an apple seed. That's the fact. But the real truth is I've handed you a forest. And just as we woke up this morning and we have the ability to make anything happen. We have the ability to go any direction we may want to go. We have the ability to do almost anything we want to do. And not to mention the freedom that we have to do it. Do you know that people are still from third world countries creating doors and all sorts of rafts and all sorts of concoctions and inner tubes and tires and all sorts of floating devices just to get across the border to where you and I live. And you and I take it for granted every day. It said that the average homeless person in a third world country would come here and just being homeless be considered rich because of what we throw away. I was somewhere just the other day and they threw away so much food. And I said, man, isn't there somebody we can give this food away? And he said, if you know of anybody homeless, well, I gave it to me first, but I said, if you find anybody homeless, then feel free to take it to them. And so that's what I'm in the process now, looking for. Not that there's any lack of, but finding some homeless people to give it to. So I'm saying that to talk about the great abundance that you and I have. We have been blessed abundantly, and right now we suffer from opportunity blindness. I know that's not having to do with self-doubt, and I don't want to go too far. I want to stay in my lane for this particular talk, but I want you to know that on the inside of you, on the inside of myself, are dreams that we've never expressed and we've never practiced and we've never honed and we've never tightened up and thereby benefited from it. And it's possible that we can do this. It's very possible. But when you refuse to overcome the fact that you're already overwhelmed with opportunity, you're overwhelmed with good health, many of you, you're already overwhelmed with the great cloud of witnesses that I spoke of earlier. When you recognize you have the information and you understand that it's not that you're aiming too high, but because of our low self-esteem very often, or the self-doubt, joining your enemy, aiming the gun on yourself, that very often we don't feel worthy of obtaining that which is available to us. Remember, the information, the inspiration is available, but it means nothing if we don't avail ourselves to it. God is all powerful, yes, but if I don't avail myself, I've got nothing. The Bible teaches us also that faith without works is dead. I can believe and believe and believe all over the place, but until I've expressed it into a plan or an action, it is meaningless. Don't surrender anymore to the enemy across the street. Stop bearing arms against yourself. Get the inspiration, get the information, get the instructions, get the guts to get out and go do. I want you to make a comment at the bottom of this, if you make it to the end of this video, and I want you to tell yourself, but say it publicly, tell yourself something that you plan to do, something you're going to express in the next 30 days. It has nothing to do with January. Remind you, not a new life's resolution, but not a new life's resolution, but a new year, not a New Year's resolution, but a new life's realization. So it doesn't matter when you start, but by all means, get started. As I said, this is Marvin Crazy Crawford of Straight Jacket Communications, also author of How to Find Success by Losing Your Mind. You got to be crazy. And I say self-doubt. I don't think so. No, I really don't think so. No, I don't think so. Take care.